We want to make investors and collectors happy.
What's up, wrestling fans, trading card collectors? Welcome to another episode of Wrestling with Cards. Today we're going to be talking with Carsyn Cruz, who's part of the team over at Pure Graded X, a new grading company. Yes, I know, most of you guys out there are like, oh my gosh, a new grading company, another grading company. Guys, I'm always here for new people that want to get in the space, and Pure Graded X is new on the block, so to speak. So I wanted to give him the platform to get his company's information out there, and we talk a lot about transparency and what Pure Graded X is going to be doing moving forward. Also, make sure to stay tuned all the way to the end of the video. Watch it all. A lot of good information in this. And we're going to have a special announcement towards the end, so you want to stay tuned for that. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Give me a thumbs up. Make sure to share this all over social platforms. Also, check out my podcast, Wrestling with Cards, and the other podcast I'm involved with Tony Vella, Worlds Collide. Also, if you really want to show your support for the show, check out Wrestling with Cards on Patreon. Links to everything I've mentioned, as well as information for Pure Graded X, are in the notes below. But let's get into this interview with Carsyn Cruz from Pure Graded X.
What's up, guys? Carsyn Cruz from Pure Graded X on with us today. Welcome to the show.
What's up, man? How are you doing today?
I'm great. I always like talking to new grading companies. Some fall by the wayside. Some go to the moon, so to speak. So just give us a background of how you got into the hobby to start with.
I collect cards as a kid. Have done it a couple different times throughout my adult life as well. When COVID hit, I didn't actually have a job. I got hired for a job to actually run charity golf tournaments, and all golf tournaments were canceled. So I never really got a job with co-start. So my son actually, who is very smart, little 13-year-old, I have 13 and 3-year-old, and he knew I liked cards, and we still bought them, when we found them at Walmart and stuff, which was more often back then, and kind of got back into it last summer, and quickly, started looking into the grading stuff, because it was kind of last time I was doing it, big time was probably around 2013, and it was kind of getting big then.
Yeah.
PSA's kind of, taking over on BGS, or, gaining ground on them then. And, I used to, some of the last cards that, I was really into was, I used to always buy Mike Trout's at this auction I would go to every week. I'd buy PSA 8s, PSA 9s, raw PSA 10s, because I couldn't afford to bid on the Bryce Harpers, and the Bryce Harpers at that time were more than the Mike Trouts. And so, I had accumulated quite a few of those back then, and unfortunately, and maybe when we built this house in 2017, I actually sold them. So let them go on a yard sale.
Right.
No clue what I got for them at that time. My wife was pregnant. I had about a 10-person real estate team, and only thing I know is that I go through my attic about every 3 months. My wife makes me go up there and, get the seasonal stuff out for fall or spring or winter or Christmas. And I'll go through every box in there, and it's still this day I haven't found it. So I'm assuming I just got rid of them, and for nothing too. Is a bad thing, but I quickly got into wanting to grade when I got back into this, because in the beginning last summer it was easy to buy on eBay and sell it for double as soon as you got the card, but I didn't see real long-term stability with that. And I knew, I was like, oh, okay, the first month I did it, I made like $4,000. I was like, oh, yeah, well, there's a pretty good, this is a pretty good living for me to, go back. I was in real estate for 15 years. We had a kid, and kind of things worked out to where, I decided I wanted to do something else. And eventually I got into cards, and quickly got into grading. Everyone said, don't do PSA, don't send your cards to SGC, don't send your cards to BGS. I'm like, well, where the hell do you send your cards to, man? Because I really want to grade. So, I met a guy who used GMA. I graded with them. I did, probably 1,200 to 1,500 cards in like a 3-month time period. And, the thing that, they don't have the, greatest selling prices, and, people just write them off. But one thing I did learn from working with them was that, as someone that wants that, that's getting into the hobby, tons of new people getting in the hobby, they want to grade like that. That's the ultimate thing in the hobby is like, people think it's cool to grade cards and get 10s and shit,
Right.
it's like, so, I kind of picked right up on that. And the thing that I learned from grading with them, is that, customer service there, as someone new who was scared to send in an order from October when I first started thinking about it, all the way till like the middle of November when I finally pulled the trigger, was that like, that they had, until you like, obviously feel like you could, you've learned a lot, you can make more money somewhere else. It was a great place to start out grading, because the customer service and communication from Alan, their owner, and, them just responding to emails and answering the phone for someone that, hadn't graded a card in 10 years. And the only time I'd ever seen anything in back then was like, if I saw Beckett raw review at a show, or if I, pulled a card and had my local card shop send it in. So like, huge as somebody, getting in the hobby to do that. But, I quickly saw, something that, I probably bought, graded 1,500 cards, but I probably bought 6,000 to 8,000 cards on eBay. And, I started thinking shortly after doing it that, I do this like, and I wanted to do the custom label stuff. Like from day one, I was like telling, GMA, like, hey man, you guys need a new label. Like you double your prices overnight. And, if you just got one, and I know there's more that goes into it than that. Since we've been starting out a new company, one of the things that we made sure and do on the front end so that, we could grow, at a rate that, not everybody that couldn't grade with us wouldn't be pissed off at us, would be, setting up processes and like getting everything to a point where, everything's ready to go. You get, the grading, and then you have people that are designing the labels that, they really have nothing to do with the current stuff unless it's a custom. And then, just hiring people to be able to input information and receive the cards and stuff is like going to be like the hugest thing. Our label designs, we've got 3 options for the first, we call it submission series 1.
Do you have some examples of your 3 different options in front of you can show off?
I think I have 2. I don't think I have the football one yet, but we have football is Field X. For basketball, we have Court X. It's like a basketball court with, the team name in the middle. They're all black. We can do custom lines on there. Just color drop the lines if you want different color than white lines. Let's see here. I don't know baseball at. I know I got a baseball over here somewhere. So here's another option. It's our color match. And basically we just take the colors from the card and it's across there. And we have all like, hundreds of different options already ready to go, so that, when we do launch and we have hired new, I call them button pressers, and they tell me I shouldn't probably call them that. That doesn't sound very appealing, but I think, everybody's talking about, automating and streamlining the grading process, and they always put it on AI grading. And I'm actually going to launch our first video is going to be on like what AI grading is, how impossible it is to find any information on it on the internet, and how you can use your cell phone to do the exact same thing that card graders are doing with the USB digital microscope and zooming in and stuff. So, like I wanted to do AI grading. That shit sounds cool, right? It's like, robots graded my card, because the biggest thing for me was that when I decided to do this, right? Like, well, we don't have any cards to grade. I have like 4,000 cards that I had bought that I was about to send to different companies to grade. And I've been trying to get in with HGH. It's impossible. I'm unlucky. My number, the last I didn't even do it last week, but the month before that, my number was in the 3,000 to 3,500 every time but once. And that other time I got in and just got in there and just decided I wanted to change something in my order. And then boom,
it got out.
Went back to pay and enter my stuff, and they were out of submissions.
Yep.
So, and that's not on them because they're doing a good job. That they don't want to get locked up like SGC.
Yeah, they're trying something different.
Yeah, they're trying something different, and it's fine. We've adopted a first come first serve policy, kind of. 95% of our orders are standard submissions. We have in this first series, we're going to do 1,550 cards, I believe. There are 100 standard customs, which is it's $30 a card. The standard order is $25, but you have the $5 upgrade for custom. We have 1,000 standard submission cards, which is basically you can do up to 20 cards or 19 cards on that. You don't want to do more than that because you'd be selling yourself short. Because we are offering 20 bulk orders of 20 cards each. And those are just a flat $400 and they come with one custom label option. And then we have 50 express orders at $100. I don't know that anybody's going to send a brand new company a express order for $100, but we have our timeline set up. Basically, we're going to have 2 to 4 graders going at the first part. Our standard timeline is going to be 30 to 60 days on returns. And that's the reason we did that is because we have it set up where every 2 weeks we're going to increase and take more orders.
Well, 30 to 60 is still better than 6 months to a year, which is what we're dealing with now.
Right. Well, 30 to 60 is basically 30 to 45 business days.
Right.
We're just, we can't guarantee when you're going to send us your cards or anything, but our first window is May 1st. You'll have your cards back, by June 30th, even if you probably send them May 30th. But if you send them then, you probably are going to send them all.
So are you guys doing a queue system like HGA? Are you just putting a cap limit on how many people can order at a time or how many can accept? That's a big thing that people are curious about.
We're putting a cap limit on how many they can order. So basically on the website, I have the, a store set up and have just a limited quantity in there that can be, checked out for. And once those are gone, that it just you'll want to, follow us on Instagram or subscribe, to our email newsletter so you can, we'll obviously let people know a couple days in advance of when, the next thing's coming up, and obviously keep people posted between then, to remind them, hey, if you want to submit some cards to us, here it is. Our plan really is to have everything ready to go so that and only take that amount of cards, because we know that, if for some reason, we haven't hired people and trained them and got them ready by, in the next, 3 weeks when we start getting cards in, we can knock that stuff out in 30 days based upon working 5 days a week based upon, the practice and trial runs we've done on our own cards and labels and doing customs and all that stuff. So, our plan is to obviously once, we launch, we're going to be doing a build out, and we're located in Arkansas, or at least I am. But
I was going to ask, why don't you give just kind of a background about your team, who's in, not necessarily names, but how many people you got involved? Because that's one thing I want to get across here. Whether people want to grade with you or not, one thing that's missing in the grading landscape is transparency. So I'm giving you the platform. I'm going to throw the hot questions at you so you can throw them at us.
So another guy is Alan, but he lives in LA right now. Obviously, once this takes off, he's probably going to be moving here. But the part of the business that he's handling more is our processes and consistency within our label. One cool thing about our label is that, well, we don't have our moldings in like the logo, you know how some companies have them like built into the back of there and stuff. We are getting that. There's a lot of plastic manufacturing companies here in Bentonville, Arkansas, where I live, because of Walmart. That's their home office.
Right.
And so we're actually meeting with some of those next week to try to get it done here locally. So we don't have to, get everything from China. And whether or not they're getting it from China, I don't, I don't know that. But we're going to try to, maybe be one of the first people to actually have their slabs produced, like, in town. Cool. I know a lot of people order the slabs from China. They're very cheap, but we also have, a lot of, because of Walmart and how big of a retailer they are and their home offices here, we're going to try and, well, we're going to see if we can take advantage of that before we, start paying, $1,000, $1,800 every time we need to get some stuff just to get it shipped across the pond. So Alan, he's detail-oriented guy, very, has made it where, obviously the label is going to have all the, you're going to see the same font here, the same size grades here. All this stuff's going to be consistent. And then my 13-year-old son came up with our security deal. We have a couple different logos in invisible ink that'll be stamped onto the labels on the front and back. And obviously you can't see them.
Right.
But if you put a little black light or LED light over it, it'll show up on there. And one of them, might have something to do with the company, and the other one's just like a boom.
Right.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about,
you got it real.
I want to talk a little bit about like the grading behind this, because that's a huge issue with just the hobby in general, no matter what cards you're coming at it from. Most people, we've seen it with HGA, they're saying, okay, we're using robots, essentially, AI, whatever, but they don't seem to show the process of grading. So people are like, oh, well, this is a company that's just got cool labels. And, on the surface, they may think that with your company too. So who do you have coming into grade for you? And what is your transparency going to be like as far as grading? Because another thing I noticed is for the longest time, HGA, everything was 10s. Everything was 9.5s. It took them like months before they finally put a LeBron out there that was like a 2, because it was so like miscut. So that's something I was curious about. Like, are these guys just putting out 9s and 10s? So what is going to be your company's process behind this?
Well, HGA has only had 3 10s on eBay, 10s, the flawless. They give out a ton of 9.5s. And so here's how the grading process is going to work. I have another grader here locally right now that is going to be full-time doing it with me. And one of the reasons why me as the, head owner or whatever, I do have 3 partners. So Alan, also another guy who is a artist. His name is Thomas. He's Costa Rica card collector. He has a YouTube channel, and he's on Instagram, and he's done artwork for a lot of other, sports YouTubers in the community as well. So you might have heard of him. Mm-hmm. And basically, and Ben Harpold, who's here, he is going to be doing the grading with me. And his experience with grading is that he is he's been a longtime collector, obviously. He is a hobby box ripper and a retail ripper and a express BGS and PSA submitter. Okay. And when Ben calls me and tells me that he gets a big hit, he knows exactly what it's going to grade with the 2 companies that are held the highest in our hobby, right? He's been doing this since I met him, probably 2008, 2009, 2010, somewhere around there. We used to go to the same auction together, the one I was talking about earlier. Mm-hmm. He was probably buying the Bryce Harpers. I was getting Mike Trout because I didn't have the money. But, it would have ended up working out in my favor had I, held on to him. But, he's always, messaging me like, hey, man, I just hit this. Like the other day, he hit a silver LaMelo and a nice orange ice LeBron. And he's like, me and you can grade the silver LaMelo. He's like, what about the LeBron? He's like, dude, I already sent that shit to PSA, $300, dude. It was a 10. Right. And he got it back and it was a 10. Like he knows,
okay.
he's been doing that for so long, just every, decent box that comes out, he's ripping it and getting, sending the right ones and paying, when somebody's willing to pay, that kind of money to grade a card because they feel, they believe in themselves, their ability to pre-grade it enough, then, I trust that person to grade my cards because,
Gotcha.
he's throwing down, well, he was throwing down, 150. Now he's having to throw down 300 to get it back in, 5 to 10 days. But he's going to be doing that for us. Alan is designing or working on design labels and processes and stuff. And Costa Rica, Thomas, he is going to be, mainly working with our customers, doing customs. Something that we're going to try to do is that's a little bit different on that end is basically reach out to the people about their label options and stuff. Like, I actually have some examples here.
Sure, bring them on.
Let me see. Which one can I use?
Real quick, while we're kind of waiting on that, are your slabs about the same size as PSA, or they lean more BGS with a thicker? What would you say on that?
They're identical to PSAs.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's a PSA slab without their deal on there, and it'll have, eventually we're going to have it molded into here, but like I said, you're going to have that. And I just have dummy little things in here, so if it moves around, it's not because it's going to, nothing's sealed up. But, basically, imagine this is a white bordered card or even a silver, this might not be your best label option for this card if, our designers are both, investor collectors in the hobby. Something that, I thought was important because, they obviously know what's going on. And so, this Tyler Hero here, which obviously I've tested these out on stickers on my GMAs selling them, and it actually does pretty good. But you might want to go with a different color scheme more to match stuff like this. And, the Cord X label or something, darker cards would be good. And that card's pretty dark, but I didn't actually have the best of options here to look at. But I mean, like you wouldn't want to go with the black label on a card like this. This is a brand new Topps 52 style Alec Bohm. And when a card has the white border like that, something we also like to do is just kind of add a border around the edge to match it. And just, stuff like that, working it all out. But we want to be, you're not going to be communicating back and forth with your grader, so to speak, as much. But like the whole process, you're going to be talking with one of the designers if you're doing a custom, working on those. If you have any ideas, and then basically they'll give you theirs. And I mean, theirs are usually good. But I've actually been a big part of the design stuff too. Usually what happens is I make one and then they kind of take my vision to make it better. So, that's something and that's why I'm going to be a part of the grading too, is that, running this company, if I don't know how, each sector of the business operates and how to help my, my employees or the contractors or whoever, how to get the best out of them for us to, make this process work for, us and the customer, then, how can I be, the leader? It's like, yeah, sure, I've graded, lots of cards and I bought lots of cards and I love sports and all that. But like, just because I'm a part of the hobby, as the guy, that's the face of the company and in charge, like, dude, I got to be able to answer questions on what we're, how we come to this decision on labels and how we got this grade. I mean, that's something huge that
big time.
I don't feel like, so we're not going to have subgrades on our labels, but we will have a pop report that will be active day one. It's actually already active. We just haven't transferred any of the cards we've graded into there. And it's nothing like super fancy or anything. I mean, you can't expect that from a new company to, have someone go out and design $1 million website for you. But we were able to get our pop report inside of our website and get it ready and easily transferable from basically the work that the label maker and the grader are doing between each other with getting the information, the research, and the subgrades too. So our pop report will have, for each card, we'll have the 4 subgrades on there, and the overall grade. It'll list how many of each card has been graded. If you can, you sort it by that, or alphabetical order to be able to do all that. And then it'll also feature the label options too. So, like, here's something here. This is a label that a lot of people have liked. It's Card Match Custom. Luis Robert, it's trending. Dude, what I've seen happen with HGA is, and it doesn't even have to be a custom necessarily, is that a card that has a sweet label can really affect the price of a raw card that's low pop, or even not, just there's not a lot of it made,
Right. Maybe even like a lesser player or lesser icon or whatever, just the label pops.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I know, I mean, like, so I've had this idea for a while and worked on it, but a month or two ago, I was like, seeing everything was happening, prices were going up to grade, and the return times for even the other companies I knew they were about to go crazy, just because March 1st, less people were going to be sending to PSA, even though they got slammed. Mm-hmm. After March 1st, the prices increased, and then they increased again April 1st. And I have a ton of GMA stuff. I've graded thousands of cards with them, and I started like, how can I do this? Like, I can't get in with HGA. I want the custom labels. So, I started making these things called slab stickers, and I would create a label, stick it on the front, this matches the label in there. It's just a custom label. And, obviously I had some cancellations from people that were like, well, I thought it was an HGA, because some of that, I put similar to HGA PSA custom label on there, and they, people, like, most of the time it would be, they thought it was an HGA label. And I was like, well, this is funny. And my prices were like tripling, and several people were like, dude, this is so cool. And nobody really ever got mad. They're just like, man, I bid on this because I thought it was an HGA. Can you cancel it? Sure, man. Why not? But that kind of led me into, is like, okay, there's demand for this. I have, people that want me to go buy basketball cards for them that will grade well. I can help those people out. And there's not, I mean, HGA clearly, can't supply the demand. And I think something that's huge in this hobby is like, I even get hung up on it too. It's like with PSA, it's like, dude, it's like people think PSA is the end all be all, but people also think that other grading companies need to get their shit together and grade more cards. And it's like, bro, there's a hold up here. It's like, the demand in the market says, if there are 2 million, 3 million cards being graded a month, well, how many freaking McDonald's do we need to sell freaking double cheeseburgers? I mean, all those, one McDonald's can't serve 3 million double cheeseburgers in a month. So we gotta open up some more restaurants. And that's kind of where I was like, all right, my living is made right now selling cards on eBay. And I was like, I got listings already up, 100 of them. I'm just gonna go. And I'm gonna put my time to this.
One thing I want to mention, you're talking about having the multiple companies. I think a good space for you guys, because I'll just be honest, every new company, HGA and all the other companies that have either come up currently, even CGC, I mean, it's a legitimate company, and people are still not believing in it because it's not PSA or it's not BGS, which BGS won't even, are they still doing like carrier pigeon through messages or something? I don't think they even use email, but
I have no idea.
One thing that I think could be a good space for you guys is, I don't think PSA is going to return to their $20 a card for bulk or 30 or whatever. So like me personally, I've got like a bunch of Pokemon and some other stuff that's like PC cards, and I don't really care as much about the grade as I just want the slab, because I like the slabs better than mags. I like them better than top loaders. So if somebody's willing to give your company a try just for some PC cards, even, I think that could totally change the game. Like at this point, you're going to have an awesome looking label, and I'm not even going to care about the resale value because I'm going to get a very affordable graded slab that looks awesome.
Yeah, and that's something that we want to, I was writing to another YouTuber last night. He's like, let me know a little bit about your company. And I ended up going on for like 3 paragraphs, but I was like, we don't want to just help out. We want to help out. We want to make investors and collectors happy. We want, the guy that collects Louis Robert to be able to, well, you can find Donruss to be able to go out and find this insert opening a $20 box of Donruss. That's how I got it. And slab this up. And it's like, okay, if they could display this, people that they show it to will think, man, that looks cool as shit.
Yeah.
And, even though it's probably only a $5 to $10 card, that I think that's missing in this hobby. And I think that, obviously everyone wanted to do that, but like at a price level of under $25, that also the slab looked good, the card was protected, the grade, it's not always important. I've had people reach out to me and ask me if, if we just put them in authentics or something, or even when I was making stickers, man, it's like, I got a slab. I just want like a sticker on there. Don't put a grade on it. Just like make me a cool Pokemon design.
Yeah.
To put in my slab. Like you could buy empty slabs. Like, I mean, that's what we did to begin with was, we went and bought, a couple hundred empty unsealed slabs that were identical dimensions to PSA because, well, we thought, it's like, well, people really like PSA slabs. They like how they stack. And it'd just be a good selling point for a new company to start. Let's figure out, what looks good in there and what doesn't. And we're going to be grading Pokemon. And, obviously, something me and you talked about that, you helped me to realize is that, obviously we were going to, we have a 8 or less consent rule is that, we basically are going to allow people to, they'll get a free voucher on their next order, or we got to figure something out, like to do it because, we obviously can't do it, but we're going to grade every card that is normal standard, like 2.5 by 3.5 size. We can do thicker cards here. This is a National Treasures here.
Yeah, so it's a little bit thicker.
Yeah, I think it's 120 or 130 point. I don't know exactly the dimensions. I have to look, but we're not going to do any tall cards right now. So, and our grading for the lower end, I can just tell you that right now, I've been training myself all the way down to what a 7.5, 8 grade is. But I'm really up to speed on like the 8.5 and above right now. And that's something that I'm trying to develop a process for Ben and me to be on the same page so that, you don't see one pure graded X10 at a 9.5 and it's like, oh shoot. But those don't look good. Like I see a lot of cards like that, and it's tough because something I've noticed is, a human grading cards. We don't have robots yet. Nobody does. If they tell you any different, they're using AI. You open up your cell phone, you're in the live photo, and there's like a 1x button on there, and all you do is just slide it over to the right. And if you have a phone stand or one of those little gimbals, you can zoom in on the same quality as most of the grading companies are. The only really thing I've seen about AI grading in any of their descriptions is CSG, who I think might be one of the toughest graders out there.
I've heard that.
And they are great. And that one reason is because like a week ago when I looked, there still was no 10s up on eBay. None sold, none current. And I don't necessarily think that's a good thing because, grading's not really changed that much from what I can tell. I mean, people use the microscope now, or the little thing, then they used a microscope that's set there. And, now they talk about, you can plug the microscope into your computer or iPad or whatever. And, have it up on the screen, but like, all this stuff you can be doing on your cell phone too. But we don't know that, something reading a card is not going to make mistakes too. I mean, like, you have a piece of lint or some pack gunk that's stuck to your card that didn't get wiped off. Like, so is that a surface issue?
It would have to be checked by the human grader at that point, like a double verification.
Absolutely. So the humans, basically, the only difference is that, he may not be able to do a scan as quick, but for people grading at home, this is something I've been working on a video to put out on our website when it launches, and it's basically, how we come up with this grade.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah.
And it basically, you're going to take, I don't even know if any of these have the subgrades on them. Let me find one that's like, okay, so you're not going to be able to see this like perfectly here. Whoops, label fill up. But it says an 8.5 surface, and I can't even totally tell here because I'm not in my light, but like one thing you can do that is also a good tip for when you're buying on eBay is turn all your lights off and have like one lamp or light. I use a daylight bulb right over the top of it, and that's going to focus all the light on the card, obviously. The background needs to be contrasting. So if you got like a light card like this, you'd want a darker gray or black background behind it. And that's going to focus all the energy in the room on that card. And any surface issues or anything you think that is, well, that might not be visible, most of the time is going to be visible to the naked eye at that point. And, obviously you can zoom in on your cell phone up to 10x. And right. Something that I explained in this video is like, there's not many sellers like that on eBay, and I get lazy sometimes and don't do it too. I can't sit here and say I do it every time because I don't. But like when you're taking pictures, you can zoom in on these corners, right?
Mm-hmm.
And something I want to go over in the video, because I've already recorded most of it, is, what does a 9 corner look like versus a 10 corner? And if a card has 8 corners, right, you got the 4 on the front and the 4 on the back. Like, what is a fair deduction for imperfections, whether it's the corner, the surface, or, the centering? And so even when you're giving subgrades, like, I feel like a lot of companies, like, you can look at a card and think, God, man, that looks like a 10, bro, And to that person, they may have found a few things, and they're like, their company doesn't give out 10s easily, so they lowered one of the grades to 9.5. And you're like, well, this card is a 9.5 and 3 10s, and it's a 9.5 at the companies that's 10 is like crazy out of control, right?
Right.
It's hard to get. So, was there any human mind manipulation?
Yeah, like
going on there?
Population control too. We're hearing that a lot now because a lot of people are getting PSA orders now, and they're getting way lower grades. So people are like, are they trying to control the population on the back end? That's exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. So one thing I wanted to come up with up front was for each grade. It's like, okay, so for the centering, obviously I'm going to measure it top to bottom, left to right, front and back. I think that the front is a little bit more important than the back as far as it goes. But in order to stay consistent, I really think that you just have to treat it as a whole, right?
Right.
Because here's something that I've heard graders tell me. One of my friends, or not one of my friends too, Alan, that works with me, he graded with HGA card. And something they told him when he asked them about how they grade and stuff, and they were like telling him, well, if it's got whiting on the corners, don't even worry about it, it's going to be an 8.5. And it's like, well, what does that even mean, bro? Like, if you have a look on the website, I even did a Kevin Durant that I graded a 9, and I might actually have it right here. And so this card, it had 9.5 centering. The edges of this card, I don't know if you can see it, but they're absolutely perfect for a Fleer Ultra card. Fleer Ultra from, if you're, probably in your 30s or older, then Fleer Ultra was like the coolest shit ever, but the cards stuck together, right?
Right.
So this card doesn't have any paint coming off the surface. The edges doesn't have any chipping, but the top right corner has just like a little bit of whiting. And when the website will be up and they'll be able to see this. I wrote in the website, I said, this card graded at an average of 9.375, and we gave it an 8.5 because of the whiting showing on the corners. But the more that I get into this grading, I think, we have to like how we can not only, jump in and be on, competing with HGA, SGC, CSG on that level. And even, if we can, grow quick enough, take some of PSA's market share, is being transparent with our customers because, a lot of people talk about the grader streamlining the process and how to get the cards, out of the grader's hand faster, AI grading, all that. But, something that we can do as a grading company is, okay, look, a spot like this is going to be a 0.5 point deduction. This is a point deduction.
Scale right in front of everybody. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Instead of having, and my site feed looks like that right now. It's like, it starts at 10 and it goes down and it kind of talks a little bit about it. And, it may launch that way, but I already recorded one this morning. We're going to be 100% transparent with, how we grade. Obviously our pop report will have the subgrades. That's kind of a big thing, but it's kind of not. But what I want to do is like throughout the process is, this is how we're determining a surface that's 8.5. In the video this morning, I had a Bowman or a Topps Bowman refractor Joe Adele from last year, right?
Sure. Big
clean surface. The centering on those look weird because they took a taller card from 1989 and made it into a normal side card. So the edges or the border flared out, and then they didn't even do nothing to change it. But that's the card company's, not anything. So, I did my research on it last night and was like, okay, well, this PSA 9 looks like this PSA 10 and that PSA 8 looks like this 9. And, got on PWCC. They have really high resolution scans, and their scans are kind of set up of how I like to look at a card raw. It's like, it's a dark background with the scan lighting it up, and they got a good scanner. So obviously their pictures look good. You can pretty much tell a surface issue from a scratch on the slab. And, when I was looking at this Joe Adele, it had like right next to his head, it had a little ding in the surface. And then it had some light little scratches in one print line. And I'm like, I saw plenty of 9.5s with similar surfaces. I saw 10s that had this ding. I automatically thought in my head, I can't grade this higher than an 8.5 or a 9 because my critics are going to maybe not destroy me, but they don't know it's me grading the card. Whoever graded it, they're like,
it goes back to what I said earlier. When people are just pumping out 9s and 10s, nobody's going to respect that. Yeah,
and so I don't want to be like we're going to give out 10s. I've graded about 300 cards, and the number of 9.5s and number of 10s are about equal. So we're not going to be a company that's like, damn it, this card's a 9.5. That's all I ever get. It's going to be like, you're going to have to send us a good condition card to get a 10. And, our 9.5 is able to have some flaws. It just, we only have one 9.5 grade, and it's just the average of all 4 subgrades are 9.5. And that's something I want to stress is that I'm going to stress to my graders is, look, I don't care. You can only have one 8.5 obviously on there to still be able to average 9.5 no matter what. Mm-hmm. But I don't care what's going on in your brain right now about this card shouldn't be this. If we're going to, have a clear grading scale, we're going to be transparent, and we're going to, grade tough, but we're going to, show this to our customers of how we're getting to this point. and help them to be able to do that themselves, then I think we're going to be more successful and gain on the other companies right off the bat, is because, hey, you don't know how to get tins at these other companies. We're going to tell you what's going to happen to a surface that has, a little 1 or 2 specs. We're probably going to be able to, turn our head on. A lot of companies do it. But when you get a print line, it's a half-point deduction automatically. If you got a scratch, there's another half a point, and then you got some other little stuff over there. Well, that's automatically 3 things. You're going to be an 8.5. So, when people are sitting in their cards to grade, it's going to help them, be able to look at how much they sell for or how much they paid for it and know whether or not, even if it's for personal collection, it's like, I may not want to send this one in. I may want to sell this one and try to find a little bit better copy, because I know how to do that now. And that's what we want to.
That's a good point.
No matter if you're a collector or investor, you obviously get more excited when you have a card in your hand that's, not all bent up and scratched. And,
right. So excuse me, you got 2 things. I got 2 questions of everything you've said that I want to throw at you. You've talked about submission times. You've talked about pop report. That's 2 things I wanted to hit on. Another thing I want to hit on, you've already talked about a little bit, customer service and transparency. Are you guys as a company prepared? I know you're doing the smart thing and starting off with a limited amount that people can submit. So you're off to a good start there. Are you guys prepared to be lightning quick on customer service? Because that's a huge deal right now. If you send an email to PSA, you may not hear for a month. If you send it to BGS, you're probably never hearing from them again anyway, because again, they use carrier pigeons. So are you guys prepared to handle all customer service at adequate speeds?
I would say that how we're going to handle customer service is going to be, we have a lot of it automated on the front end. And, when we tell you we're going to do something, we're going to do it. So if you get an email from us or a message on Instagram in your chat or whatever, or on your cell phone that says, hey, tomorrow morning, we're going to send you an email that says, we got your order, or we received your cards or whatever, we're going to do it. And like, even if it is, hey, dude, your cards didn't show up here. Can you check the tracking to see what happened? I think just like, I used to be a really big time realtor in my area. I was a realtor for 15 years. And I went to a lot of like coaching and trainings and did coachings and trainings myself for, newer realtors or realtors that were wanting to up their game.
Right.
And, I went to this one and he had this speaker, and, it wasn't even about real estate. It was about like, when you say you're like, if you want to have a better marriage, when you tell your wife you're going to do something, the more times that you complete that task of actually doing what you say you're going to do, the more times that, you might get lucky that night,
It makes the relationship better. Yep.
Exactly. It's like you want your wife to love you, respect you, and treat you, a certain way. Well, when she asks you to do something and you tell her you're going to do it by this time, well, when she looks at that time and sees it's already done, boom, there's a point. And it works that way with customer service too. I just used the wife because that was the example that he made for me, because I was, about to get married at the time when I went to this, and was starting out a new business in real estate and had like 5 or 7 employees already at the time. And, my thing at that time is that we'd started, in the house, and I told her I'd be out by June. And, it was starting to get tough because, we were working out of the house and people would show up and they would stay there till 9 o'clock at night because the market was hot, right? Not like it is in this.
Yep.
And so, I got back from there and I said, hey, on May 15th, we're going to be out of here. And we didn't find a spot by May 15th. I had to rent a hotel room. I rented from this lady that I used to, when I started in real estate, her office, her and her husband's office were next to mine. We rented this thing called like the Tree House, and it was this really nice loft above their garage in downtown Bentonville here. And we rented that for like a week or 10 days. And then we rented like a hotel suite for the other week until they finished our build out. But like, dude, like that earned me such huge points with my wife, is that, I started a business and I was like, hey, this is what I'm going to do. And we're going to do it by this day. It didn't happen. Like, I wasn't in the office part, but I didn't tell her I was going to be in the office. I just said, we're going to be out of here by this day. So we got out of there, and it cost me extra money to do that. But in the long run, like, it was also a great thing, because like life at home went back to normal. So, for life at home to be normal for people submitting cards to our company would be, when you send us the cards that we say, or when you submit your order, we tell you we got it. When we get the cards, we talk to you and tell you got it, and that somebody's going to reach out to you about your labels. When that person reaches out with you about their labels, then they're going to, you're going to have a conversation with them.
Right.
And then they're going to say, hey, once, these are finished grading, then we're going to send you an email about the, when this is going to ship out, blah, blah, blah. And then also something that we're doing differently is if you get all 4 subgrades of 10, we're going to offer a free custom upgrade
Cool.
to, in the beginning at least. Just, hey, so you'll get contacted again. If you're sending in multiple cards, usually there's going to be a chance of getting all 10s. I mean, like, we're going to grade tough, but, we're also going to get a lot of modern cards. And, with as high as of the pop reports that are out there on these cards, like you can just go look at PSA's website and see that most of these cards 10 at about 70% rate, on the more modern cards. So we'll get a lot of those. So a lot of people will get contacted at some point during their order because, hey, would you like to upgrade to a custom? You got a, all 10s on one of your cards.
So the other question I wanted to lead into is, you mentioned earlier about, you actually just mentioned with modern cards, and you talked a little bit about Pokemon and knowing the differences between the genres of cards. So for example, like vintage wrestling, because clearly that's what my channel is mainly focused on.
Right.
There are much more condition sensitive gaming cards, they're used to being played with. Are you guys planning on, okay, first, it's kind of a 2-part. Are you going to be accepting kind of the oddball cards and vintage stuff, or are you mainly going to stick with a certain frame? That's question 1. Part 2 is, are you going to grade everything across the same scale, whether it's modern, vintage, everything? And there's no wrong or right, or there's no right or wrong answer. It's just kind of how you guys are going to do things. Or are you taking into consideration the types of material that was involved, et cetera?
Well, first off, I'll start off, we'll go back to, any card that's this height and width, we'll be open to grading it. We won't be grading any reprints. Every card, when, once we get it, we're going to research it. If we don't know much about it, we're going to research it and obviously find out all the information we can. Something that I feel like doesn't happen at some other grading companies. I'm not going to name any names, but say you send in a card and sometimes they just send the ship back, and it's like, are you there? Sorry.
Yes.
They send it back and you don't know why, or they just put, missize or blah, blah, blah. So like, if anything like that ever happens, or if we can't find the information on the card, we're obviously going to reach out to the person that sent it in, because, what's important to us is to make our customers happy. Obviously, we're not going to try to grade a bunch of fake cards, I mean, like, I'm sure that people are going to try to send in.
Oh yeah, it's gotten ridiculous nowadays, the amount of
sending
reprints
stuff
that are
just
out
to
there.
screw us over and make a YouTube video about it. Like, I see people doing that all the time, and I'm like, man, like, dude, these people are like, they got families and shit, they got a job, and you're trying to ruin it and dude, just from me going out and figuring out how to cut labels and print them and do all this, dude, I can freaking make a freaking card that look like some of the cards, if I spend enough money to get a nice printer that printed white on chrome, bro. You better believe you could make some of those base prisms or selects or something, whatever. Topps chrome. It doesn't matter. what matters is that, you know, we're going to work with you to figure out what this card is, obviously. And if people are trying to do shady shit when we reach out to them, try to work with them, we're obviously going to be able to pick it up real quick.
Sure.
It's like, okay, bro,
Yeah.
you're sending us on a wild goose chase here. You know, you can just have all your cards back, but I'm sure we'll come across that when we get there. I was reading on PSA scandals last night. We'll grade all years. And I mean, dude, I can tell you, you know, I've graded a lot of cards myself. A lot of them have been modern basketball or baseball,
Sure.
football, or I'm really into 90s and 2000s Kobe, LeBrons and stuff.
Yep.
I had quite a few wrestling cards as a kid, but I have that box. My mom had that box and I haven't. I just haven't been able to go through it yet, but
Nice.
I think like the most important thing for a grading company is not to sugarcoat things or to
Sure.
say that they know or can do things that, you know, it's like if you go watch PSA's one video they dropped on their process, dude, it's like, you know, that's not even PSA graders in there in that video, bro. It's like somebody's like, you know, bunch of dudes sitting at IBM computers from 1990 in the year 2005 grading cards. It's like, bro, y'all stole those clips off the internet. But I think if we don't know how to do something, our motto will be basically that we're going to do what we can to figure it out. And, you know, obviously if we can't, we're not going to charge you $25 to, you
That's
know,
good.
be like, hey man, we're not grading this card. You can't have your money back. So, you know, I don't know how the refunding process works on any of that, but I have done eBay for a very long time. Most of our, you know, payments, it's probably going to be hooked up on PayPal at the beginning. So I'm very used to somebody getting a card and graded cards too. The case cracked on the way there.
Sure.
Well, that might be bullshit, but either way, there's nothing I can do about it. eBay, you know, PayPal, eBay,
Right.
both gonna make me refund the money. So we obviously are gonna, you know, if we can't grade it, we're not gonna stick it to you. You're gonna refund you or give you a free, you know, card to grade next time or 2 cards to grade, whatever we can do to make it right. But we don't want people to be scared to send in stuff because we know some of that oddball stuff. You wake up one day and the card goes for $10,000 and you're like, shit,
Exactly.
man, I've been sitting on this for 6 months. Why didn't I send it in? And you send it in and there's 100 other ones and you get 1,000 for it when you could have, you know, if you would have just sent it in. And I know I've been buying this Panini Hoops International boxes that are Pop Zero and like every year but 2013. There were some Giannis's graded from 2013 and maybe one LeBron and one Kobe for a while. There's probably more now. PSA, I don't turn down the 2015-16 from somebody I heard. BGS will grade it, but I heard people got turned down from PSA for it, and some people didn't. So like,
It's inconsistent.
it's very inconsistent, man. It's like, can y'all not just look and see, you know, if y'all graded one of these before or not, you know, or
Right.
like what these are? It's like, okay, these were printed at Panini in Europe, which was where I think maybe where they started at or something, right? I mean,
Yeah.
they made stickers in the 90s internationally. And then, you know, I'm no Panini expert, you know, I mean, but, you know, I do study like, you know, the past of the hobby. So, you know, I kind of know,
Sure.
like, you know, when I was a kid, my brother, he took shit care of his cards and had George Brett and Robin Yount rookie cards wadded up in his sock drawer. And when I first started collecting cards, one day I finally got tall enough to go up and open his top drawer, and I pulled out these 2 cards out of the cards that were in his sock and baseball card drawer. And you know, he probably used to use it on his bicycle spokes, you know, for some noise. Put it in his pocket in his blue jeans that were too tight in the 80s. And the card, by the time I saw it, I cried to my mom. It was like, why did you let him do this? She's like, it's not your card, you know, but, you know, we'll help you to learn how to take care of them better. And, you know, so, you know, my mom gave me a Bo Jackson or 2. One got a 9 and one got a 7. You know, I got them graded. So, you know, they kind of help. But the introduction of Chrome cards with Topps Finest with the peel on there, bro, they put that peel on there because that, there was like a 90 or 360 or 180 from what, cards were doing in the 80s to what people had intentions for cards to do in the 90s and moving forward. I mean, that's when grading started, I think, around the same time.
Yeah, early 90s.
There you go. Topps Finest came out, then it was Topps Chrome. And yeah, dude, I mean, like, so that kind of stuff's cool to me. So, researching, I mean, I reached out to you. I think how we originally was like, I was like, dude, I see your wrestling cards all the time. And, probably from the time I was 7 years old to 15 years old, I don't think I missed a single pay-per-view. Like, I watched every single one of them. And I just, other things in life happen. And, I still haven't got back to watching wrestling. But, it made me want to go back and, dude, the first thing I did was I went and bought, like, these cards. I was like, I went and bought some. These are second year or the third year Hulk Hogan, right? He's in 82, 85, and 87, right? And these are 87, I think. And then there might be 185 in here somewhere. Yeah, this one's 85 here. There you go. And it's funny though, because like if you go on eBay, dude, they're all 3 rookie cards. It's like, and so like I'm like, we got to do research, and we don't mind doing it. I enjoy it, and I think like part of picking the people, that come and join our team, whether is you got to see the vision, you got to believe in it, and you got to go out and implement it. Right. And that's if people see this video and are like, man, I want to come work for them or something, it's like, well, that's what it's going to take. We're putting together a process. If you believe in it, come join us, and we'll take a stab at PSA, or maybe we'll be more than just custom labels. We're start a movement, and that's what it takes to start a movement is for one person to believe, and then fully grasp in, and that's what Thomas and Alan, the guys that when I told them about doing this, they immediately were like, I am in. Haven't quit their day jobs just yet, but if I said quit, move to Arkansas right now, dude, they'd be freaking on a plane. With technology and grading and the way technology works, like we don't have to have them move here right now. Like Walmart. I work, or I live in Bentonville, Arkansas, home of Walmart here. When I first moved here back in the early 2000s, I went to the University of Arkansas for college, and my parents had moved up here because my brother had a kid, and my dad started doing loans and real estate. And they always talk about Walmart. Everybody's moving to Northwest Arkansas because Walmart is requiring their vendors to have offices here, right?
Sure.
But like they don't require the vendors to move here totally. It's like 1 or 2 people. Right. We need at least this many people that, or however much, retail stuff you have in our store, that's the kind of requirement. And, as time has went on, that requirement has went down because technology has got, improved. And, you obviously.
Especially with our pandemic, they found ways to work around it.
Absolutely. So every other company shutting down because of COVID, we wouldn't shut down if COVID happened. We would not. We might, it might slow us down a hair, but absolutely 100% positive. We could operate, even if COVID hit back May 2nd and we started May 1st, we could operate on that 1,500 card level from now till the end of time. Like we just could, because the people that are involved right now can handle it. And we have it set up so that, eventually we might be able to, have other grading locations.
Sure.
And it obviously would take, at first that person coming here, being hired, training and learning under the main people here, and then being able to go back and, repeat the process, in another location. But dude, that's something that, I don't even know that another location is totally necessary, but it makes sense to me just because it takes some of the stress off of like having to hire so many people in one location to handle an amount to go get a much larger building to increase, not just
increasing
cost,
your overhead.
Exactly. And so, going through all the cards that are stored, like imagine if you and your wife or you and your kid or whatever, you had 1 million cards upstairs and, well, you're going to go through those 1 million cards. Well, how much quicker would it be if you and your wife were in 2 different places and there were 500,000 cards in each? It would take you way less time to find those cards, process them, and get them through the system in order to ship them back to you graded. And that's I wouldn't say it's a long-term goal. I would say it's something that
That's possibility.
As we grow, I mean, we want to be able to, do that or contract out some of the stuff that is, like the labels and stuff. Like we got several options that are, boom, we're going to discontinue certain labels. We're going to bring them back. We're going to kind of play it like a, I don't know, like their packs. It's a series 1.
Right.
Here you go.
That's a
These
cool idea
labels are
too.
Available.
It could also put some value on certain labels too, the first series and whatnot.
Yeah, and so there's just something different. I mean, it's like, how can we, some stuff that we can do differently that nobody else is doing. It is grading. It's hard. It's hard to be innovating when you're looking at the condition of a card, but.
Well, I think you guys are off to a good start with it. You're doing something different and being transparent. And you hit me before we started the show that you want to do a giveaway. So surprise. Tell everybody what you want to do.
All right, cool. So I've got these wrestling cards here. I'll just go through them. You guys can comment whichever one you'd like, and he'll do like a randomizer, or I will.
Yep. Guys, comment below, and the first comments that comment on the card you want, you will get that card.
All right, cool. There you go.
Nakamura auto.
Yep. There you go.
Roman Reigns.
Roman Reigns.
85
Hogan, number 60. 87 Hogan,
Yep.
American made. Number 35. We got number 3, Hulk Hogan here. That's one of my favorite ones right there, by the way.
It's a great card.
And the Hulkster explodes here from the 87 set too, I think.
Yep. 87 tops.
Yeah, and then Kushida, and I think that's it. But just comment below, and I'm gonna randomly grade 2 of these cards and put a custom label on them, and then I'll just ship them to Zhan, and he can give them away to whoever gets them. So that'd be cool.
Well, I appreciate your time today, and thanks for taking the time to be transparent with everybody. So, Carsyn, let everybody know when they can start sending cards in, and if they want to get a hold of you now, because we're going to have this out before the company launches officially, where can they find all the information about Pure Graded X and get a hold of you?
So you can go to Instagram. It's at Pure Graded X on there, and our website, which we are going to be launching. I don't know what today is, like 15th or something. We're probably going to be launching it between now and the end of April. It's puregradedx.com. It's not up right yet. We have a dummy site up there. We have it parked. We're letting people look at it, getting feedback. And then, you'll be able to submit. I think our first submission is going to be on April 30th or May 1st, which would be a Friday or Saturday. Our submissions, are going to be every 2 weeks to start with. We're going to do the first one. The second one will be 2 weeks after. And then we'll go from there as we see how many we hire. But
so you're going to have a 2 week period with a cap limit on top of that per person.
Yep.
That sounds like a good plan.
Yeah. So per person, max cards you can send is 20, or standards is 19. You could do we're going to allow 20 orders of 20 cards. So 20 bulk orders. And then there are 50 express spots at $100 a card available in that 2 week window as well. We don't really, we want to be able to, touch more people than just catering to making us money in the beginning,
Right.
and we want to keep that motto going through, is that, because I see, like, that's the huge thing with PSA. So many, like, as their price increases, so many people pay that express, and it gets all their other levels backed up. And I'm sure they're going to try to figure out a way to combat that, but it might be eliminating any card under 75 to 100 bucks
Right.
altogether. And yeah, so we want to slide into where SGC was when they decided to jump their prices to $75.
Right.
It's like, there's an opening for, dude, I was about to submit to them. Like, that was on my second attempt of almost submitting to them. And they raised their price. I had my order already in there, and I heard they raised their price. I was like, shoot, well, I'm not sending that today.
Yeah.
It just didn't make sense. And it wouldn't, who knows if it makes sense for us at $75 a card, but, at $25 a card, if you're a collector, you're going to, have an attractive slab to display. And if you're an investor, dude, we already know that, custom or color matching slabs will, can increase the price. I mean, some of them can sell for more than PSA, especially in this price range where you're sending the card, you're sending at $25. So,
Right. Well, thanks all for that information, guys. Make sure to check out Pure Graded X. Send them some cards, see what you think. And if you got questions beforehand, reach out to Carsyn and the team. Carsyn, thanks again for joining us. Catch you guys later.
hey, thanks for having me, man.
Great interview.
Thanks.
A lot of good information there. I hope you guys are willing to give these guys a shot. If you like them, hey, this could be your new grading company. If you don't like them, that's okay. There's always space, I think, for new innovations and new people to get into the hobby, whether that's a new avenue of cards, whether that's a new grading company, a new top loader company that, just becomes the end all be all. There's all these spaces out there, the too big to fail. I'm a big PSA guy, and the too big to fail has been mentioned around them, like it was the banking systems, during the crashes and stuff like that. But I'm not saying PSA is doing that. I'm just saying there are other avenues. There's a lot of PC cards I have that are, under $1, but hey, I really like them. I really want them in a slab. And I don't really feel like paying $300 express to send that $1 card into PSA. So this could be a really good option for some of you guys out there. Thanks for watching the video. Like I said, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you never miss any of my other uploads. Check me out on social media. Check out Pure Graded X on social media. Catch you guys next time. Thanks.